Welcome to our plane. Our plane is full today. We thank you so much for being here today. Again, I'm Erin Farrell, Sales Director for 9 years here at Saratoga Retirement Community. Brian Schwatka is a realtor that I met very quickly when I started working here at Saratoga Retirement Community. He is a transition specialist. He has an amazing heart working with seniors and these types of communities. He's a wealth of knowledge. I always call him and bug him about all my crazy questions because he always has a good answer. He knows if he doesn't have an answer, he knows people who will help us. So he's a great resource for you and for me. And I'm going to let him take it away. Take us up to the friendly skies, Brian.
Welcome aboard, Aaron. I see you have a lot of passengers here today. I just thought I'd lighten it up a little bit because it's the last webinar of the year and it's called the Flight Plan. And I just got back from Italy and I'm kind of in that mode still. But I am still here and you'll notice a little bit of growth here and a little bit lighter there. I was in Florence. And I told my wife, I said, I want to look like more Italian. And so we found this little barber and this little Giuseppe guy in there. And I don't even know if he knew what I was even saying, but I said, I want to look more Italian. And this is how I came out. So
Well
anyway,
done.
yeah, thank you. So thanks for everybody for being here. Thanks for being proactive homeowners. Again, my name is Brian Schwatka. I'm a realtor and transition specialist with Keller Williams Bay Area Estates in Los Gatos and in Saratoga. And I've been a transition specialist or a realtor for the last 20 years. And all I do is help retirees get to retirement communities. I've painted myself into a little corner. I love my little corner. I love my seniors, and it just warms my heart to help them make the best decisions for their future, whether they're staying or whether they're going. And so I did create, 20 years ago, I created this stay or go homeowner system because if you stay, that's fine. If you go, that's fine. As long as you're doing it and you're making the best decisions that you possibly can. So it's a three-step process. It's a three-stage process, your transition. And I don't know where you are in your transition, but the first transition or the first stage of that is, I might want to go. I'm kind of thinking about it. I'm not old enough yet. Everyone else is going. I'll wait. But I might want to go, so let's start thinking about that. So then I wear a lot of different hats, being a transition specialist. So the first hat I'm wearing is sort of a concierge, a consultant, a friend. We're getting together, and I'm going to help you evaluate where you currently stand in your home ownership in 5 areas: your finances, your health, your support network of the friends, family, and people who are ready, willing, and able to take care of you, your trust and estate and taxes, and your real estate. So we're going to evaluate where you stand, where you're strong, where you're weak in those areas. And then you're going to know where you are. That's where you're going to start. And then you envision what your future sort of looks like, right? And so once we have where you are and where you want to go, we can put the puzzle together, and that gives you the clarity, the certainty, and the confidence. And you can do that you just download this. It's a stay or go workbook. It's a short workbook, and it takes you through the whole evaluation, the whole envisioning process. And then the next stage is, okay, well, I've got the clarity, certainty, and confidence. I think I kind of might want to go. Now, how does this whole thing work? And so then I'm putting on my other hat, my teacher hat, my travel agent hat, and my Sherpa hat, because selling a home and transitioning to a retirement community is a very fine sort of thing. It's orchestrated, it's choreographed, and the timing has to be just perfect. And there's a lot of things that go into doing this, and I've been doing the same thing for 20 years. So, you get really good at doing one thing. So we're going to now educate you on the difference between staying in your home, aging in place within home care, or transitioning to a retirement community, and a bunch of other things that we're going to be teaching you so that we can have a very competent conversation when I get together with you and we do a homeowner analysis. And we're going to explore all of your options, and I'm going to sit there as long as you want me there, and I'm going to use the 20 years of experience I have, and we're going to come up with a plan. And that's going to help you break your paralysis of analysis. I want you to get 51% off the fence, one way or the other. And then the third stage of your transition is, okay, I'm ready to go, but now I want, this is a very stressful thing, and I want it to be as low stress as possible. So we're going to execute a flight plan, and that's what today's talk is about. It's about putting a flight plan together. These are all the webinars we've done all year long. If you've seen them all, I congratulate you for teaching yourself everything you need to know. And today we're going to do, like I said, the flight plan, which is the stress-free home selling process. If you missed one of these webinars, you can go to the website stayorgohomeowner.com/webinars, and you can request any one of these and you can catch up to us. But today is the flight plan. And so what I like to do is I like to use an analogy. And the analogy is that some of us have these planes. And it's like a home is your plane. So some planes are old. Some planes are small, like a condo or a townhome. Some planes are very large, like a 5-bedroom, 3-car garage, pool in the backyard, 2-story home. Some of our homes need a little work. They need a little love, but hopefully when we're done, we can get it back into condition so that we can sell it. And then, so really the analogy is your home is your plane. And you now, because you went through the Stay or Go workbook, you know that you are going, you've educated yourself, and now what you need is that flight plan and you need a great team. So I'm going to introduce you to your team. Your team is you. You're the owner of the plane. You're setting the expectations. You know when you're supposed to be there and when you can do what you can do. You're going to be calling all of the shots. You own the plane. And you're going to have to hire a pilot to navigate you, to get you to your destination, to prepare your home, to market your home, and to sell your home. And we're going to talk about all of this in this presentation. Now, I need a team. I can't do everything. I can't serve drinks, and I can't put the suitcases into the airplane, and I flying the airplane and all of that. I need a team. So I have a listing assistant. I have a transaction coordinator. I have a project manager who works with the ground crew. The ground crew is preparing your home to go onto the market. There are contractors, there's flooring, there's painting, there's landscaping. All of these people are going to get your home ready to go on the market. And we also have the inspectors who are going to tell us, you know, what we might want to fix on this airplane before we leave the ground. Then we have the title company, who is the FAA, I'm going to say in this case. They're the neutral third party that sit between the seller and the buyer and the realtors. And we need to follow instructions from the title company, and we need to be very compliant and do what they say when they say they do it. And finally, there's the sales director at the retirement community, and they're the air traffic control station. And they're, you know, come on in, here's when you can come in, here's when you can't come in, here's what you need to do before you get here, and things like that. So that's your team. There's a lot of moving parts and a lot of people involved. So here's our agenda for today. First, I'm going to teach you how to select a pilot, a realtor. Okay, your home is your biggest investment. This is a big deal, and you need to pick a veteran realtor or a veteran pilot to get you there in the least amount of stress, the least amount of issues possible. So you need a veteran. Next, we're going to talk about your documentation. It's funny, I just went through all of this to go to Italy. I just used my passport for the first time in my life, both my wife and I, and we were amazed at how much paperwork is involved. Well, that's nothing compared to selling a home. You've got a lot of paperwork, and what the goal of the paperwork is to inform or let the buyers know what as is actually is. Because yeah, you can say I'm going to sell my house as is, but you need to tell them what as is so that there's no renegotiating down the line and, oh, you didn't tell me that. So a lot of documentation we're going to have to go through. Then we're going to talk about preparing for takeoff, getting you and your home ready for the market so that you can get the biggest return on investment. And I'm not going to tell you to spend a whole bunch of money on your home, but I am going to tell you what you do need to do and what you don't need to do so that, you know, you're not spending a fortune because they're going to rip out the stuff anyway. And you're getting the biggest return on your investment because of the fact you're going to use these funds for the rest of your life at the retirement community. So we need to get a big bang. Next, we're going to talk about taking off. When we're on the market, what's happening in the air, what to expect during that flight, what to look for in a winning offer. It's not always the highest price. Sometimes it's the best buyer, the best agent, the best terms. There's a lot going on there, and there's a lot to evaluate. So I'm going to teach you today how you can do all of this. Now, I'm going to be talking kind of fast because this is 20 years of experience in a probably 45 minutes I have to get this out in. So I'm going to talk a little fast, but you can always get the recording. And I've got it all documented right here in the listing manual. It's a 50-page book on everything I'm talking about, but much more detailed. Then we're going to talk about, okay, once we have that contract in hand, now we're going to be coming down for a landing. We're in contract, and what's happening at that time? Who's doing what? When is what happening? We're orchestrating everything with the retirement community. We've got to come in for a perfect landing at the exact right time. And then finally, Erin's going to come back on at the end, and she's going to tell you what's going to happen upon your arrival at your destination. Okay, so a lot to talk about, and there's really nothing else like this out on the internet. So, and it's kind of my secret sauce, and I'm glad you're here, but I don't give this out to everybody. It's usually I'm giving it out to my clients, and so hopefully no realtors are watching can get my secrets. Anyway, all right. So I want to do one thing real quick. I want to dispel a myth. There's this myth that there's a realtor in my neighborhood who sends me things and puts things on my door and sells homes in my neighborhood. So he's the area specialist or the neighborhood specialist. Well, a seller's agent or a listing agent is the marketing department for your company. They're trying to expose your home to the world, and all of the information like the statistics, the comparable properties in your neighborhood, the schools, the parks, all of that information is readily available. I can sell a home in Palo Alto or Morgan Hill or Milpitas, and it's just a matter of gathering the information. It's no big deal. I don't need to be a neighborhood specialist. I need to be a marketing specialist. Now, there's the other agent who is the buyer's agent, and they're actually called the selling agent because they're selling the house. I'm marketing the house. And so they're the one that needs to know the neighborhood information, the features and benefits, the good side of the tracks, the bad side of the tracks, the return on investment. And I, as the listing agent, am not supposed to talk to the buyers at all anyway, and that's the buyer's agent who needs to talk to them. It's a conflict of interest if I do talk to them. So really, I'm working for you. I'm your agent, and I'm marketing your home, but I do not need to be a neighborhood specialist to do that. Now, it's time to interview some realtors, and you're going to interview 2 or 3 realtors, even if it's your nephew or your cousin or your brother is a realtor. You want to tell them, I'm going to be interviewing 2 or 3 agents. It keeps us on our toes, and you're going to get a better deal. You're going to get more attention if that realtor knows that they've got some competition. So I would love to be one of the agents that you interview, but I want you to interview a couple, 3 agents, get referrals from friends, from the retirement community, get a plethora of them. You don't want to interview 5 or 7 agents, so you're just going to get confused. But when you're going to do that and when you're talking with them, you want to go with your gut. You want somebody that you can trust and respect. They're going to educate you, somebody that's not too slow and not too busy. You don't want a housewife, but you don't also want a realtor who's doing 20 deals a month and you're only going to see them to sign the listing agreement and that's it, and then you're working with their team. So you want somebody that's in the game, that is going to be interacting with you directly on a regular basis. So you're going to invite those realtors over to your home. You're not going to let them convince you to spend a bunch of money on remodeling your home. There's hardly any homes on the market right now. It's a seller's market. The buyers are going to rip out everything you do to it anyway. And so really all we're trying to do is just get it ready for the photos and to get it ready so that someone can fall in love with it and see the potential in that home. We don't have to put new cabinets and counters and all of that kind of stuff in there. But the realtor does need to come to your home to see the condition that it's in, because Zillow is not correct. And so we need to see what you've done to the home to give you an accurate price for your home. Now, I want you to have an idea of what you think your home is worth. And I think you do know that. I mean, you go to neighborhood open houses, you know what your home is worth. You know that Zillow is not actually correct. And so I want you to know what you think your home is worth, but don't tell them what you think the home is worth, because the first question they're going to ask you when they meet you is, hey, great house. This is the most beautiful house I've ever seen in my entire life. What do you think it's worth? And you're going to say, no, what do you think it's worth? Because as soon as you tell them a number, they're going to say, I agree. Or, oh no, I think it's worth way more than that. And that's another thing. Don't get fooled by a high price. If you think your home's worth 2, you know it's worth 2, and they say it's worth 3, they're just trying to get you to sign a listing agreement and stick their sign in the lawn. So let's do this right. Let's know before we go. And then they're going to give you what's called their listing presentation. And this takes a while, so this meeting is going to take a good hour, hour and a half for them to give you their listing presentation. If you want to see my listing presentation or check up on me, you can go to stayorgohomeowner.com/sell. There's a whole bunch of information there on me, but they're going to give you their listing presentation. So here's the table of contents for my listing presentation. I don't have one for another realtor, so I have to use my own. And there's two sides of the table. There's one where I'm telling you what I need to know, and then there's another side of the table is I'm asking you and teaching you and educating you. So first, you're going to want to know what brokerage the agent works for. I'm with Keller Williams. They're the largest real estate company in the world. Believe it or not, I didn't know that till I got there. They're going to introduce you to themselves. Who are they? What's their background? How long have they been in business? They're going to introduce you to their website and show you some testimonial letters. Then I would want you to ask them what their differentiation is, right? I'm a seniors transition specialist, get people to retirement communities, but there's lots of different niches out there. And my differentiation actually is complete communication, complete transparency, and repeatable systems. Because no one can remember everything. And 20 years now in the business, I've got a spreadsheet of 300 line items so that we don't do anything wrong. We do everything repeatable process, and that reduces your stress. I'll introduce you to my team. I'm not doing it all by myself. I'll tell you what my last year's statistics were. I'll show you the kinds of properties that I'm selling. Talk about what we're going to do to your home and what we're not going to do to your home. We're going to talk about our marketing plan or our listing plan of how we're going to get your information on your house out to the world in the first 15 minutes. And then be afraid to talk about commissions. Ask them right there, how much do you charge? Don't say, well, I want a discount, or, I'm looking for 2% or something, because you get what you pay for. And that realtor should have a good answer for you when you do ask for a reduction in commission. They probably won't give it to you. The good realtors know what they're worth, and you get what you pay for, but it's a good conversation to have. Now we go over to what the seller is going to give. And I want to know what your expectations are, what you think a good realtor looks like. What are you looking for that would make you completely happy? We'll teach you about the whole home selling process, which is this presentation right here, but we'll go a little bit deeper. And then here's a very important question. Are you going to occupy your home while it's on the market and live in that home because you need the funds to give to the retirement community? Are you going to live there during all of that, or are you going to vacate first? And we'll talk about that in this presentation. It's a very big question that you should be asking yourself. Then we'll talk about the county records. Is the square footage right? Is the extra room you added in there? Did you have permits? We'll talk about a comparative market analysis of what your home is realistically worth in today's market. We'll then talk about your seller's net sheet, because just because you sell for $1 million doesn't mean you're going to walk away with $1 million. And that has to do with capital gains taxes. So I'll help you estimate those taxes and tell you what your actual net walkaway amount would be. Then we'll talk about pricing strategy. Are you going to price fair market value, or are you going to go low and try and get 50 offers? Are you going to go high and then come off of that number? And then what you can do to help the next steps, your homework. So there's a lot to go through right there, but I'm going to go as fast as I can. I'm not going to go through all of this because I'm not selling myself. I'm educating you on the process of a stress-free real estate transaction. Okay? So if I wasn't a realtor and my mom was going to sell her home, I would say, Mom, what are you looking for in a realtor? Go with somebody that's experienced. They've got longevity. They're a full service, reputable brokerage, not some fly-by-night Zillow, Redfin, Fireside Realty. You want somebody, Keller Williams, Sotheby's, Intero, Coldwell Banker. Go with somebody that, when they see the sign in the lawn, they know you mean business. Also, here's another question you might want to ask a realtor while you're interviewing them. Hey, it's legal in California to double end a deal, like you represent me and the buyer. Would you give me a discount because you're getting 2 commission checks if you were to represent the buyer? And if they say, well, sure, I will, that's the wrong answer. You are represented by the listing agent, and you do not want your listing agent representing your competition, who is the buyer. So that's a trick question. Don't ever Find a realtor who will never double end a deal. It's a conflict of interest. They've got a team in place, but you're working directly with that agent. Clear communication, no language barriers, understandable, everything's spelled out, including these new commission options, which we'll talk about as well. Repeatable systems, listing manual in place, um, com- communication, constant communication, full transparency, repeatable systems, daily updates. The listing manual is there, spelling out the entire process. In fact, here's the table of contents for the listing manual, which actually is a real estate flow from beginning to end, who's doing what, what's happening next. I don't want you to ever have to ask me what's going on, what's happening next, who's doing what am I supposed to do. It's all spelled out. I've asked other realtors if they have this or offer this to their clients, and they say, no, I don't want to give away my secrets. Well, I need to give away my secrets because that lowers your stress. If you know what's happening next and who's doing what, then that's going to reduce your stress. So ask them for their flight plan. Okay, now back to our agenda. We've talked about selecting a pilot, selecting a realtor. I'd love to be one of the ones you interview. And now it's time for documentation. Documentation of how do you really sell your house as is. There's only one way to sell your house as is, and that is telling the buyer what as is actually is. So here's all of your documentation that you're going to be going through during your journey here. The first and foremost is the listing agreement, your relationship with your realtor or your pilot. That's going to involve really just how long is the agreement for? It's usually 6 months to 12 months. What's the commission rate? What's the list price, which is going to change, of course, by the time you get your home ready to go on the market. There'll be new comps and we'll be changing the price right before we go on the market. But get that listing agreement in place so that you can get that relationship together and the realtor can legally start helping you and advising you. Once you do sign the listing agreement, the realtor will order a preliminary title report, which tells you all about your easements and how you're holding title and your taxes that are due or any liens that are doing. You'll understand your property more than you've ever known before. Then they'll order a natural hazards disclosure statement, which is all of the things like, are you in a flood zone, fire zone, earthquake zone? It tells you where you are, and it'll tell us also if you need flood insurance, and fire insurance is a whole nother presentation in itself. But homeowners insurance the prices are going up dramatically. And then if you're in an HOA, like you have a townhome or a condo, we'll order the HOA package. Also that we can give this to the buyers so that we can tell them, here's what as is actually is. Here's the real deal. Then you'll do your seller's disclosures, and I'll do that with you, and we'll disclose everything that you know that only you know, right? You know when there was a leak, you know when a dog is barking next door, the kid's got a drum set next door, there's, some things that you need to disclose. So we'll do your seller's disclosures, and then we will order inspection reports. And these are from neutral third-party inspectors: a home inspection, a pest inspection, roof inspection, chimney inspection, and any other inspection that we need so that we can put all of our cards on the table to these buyers. And also, we're doing this up front because if they find a leak or find something that we can fix before we go on the market to make it look like you've really, really taken care of that home. And I guarantee you, every 90% of you out there have a leak under your home that you don't know about, or termites or whatever. So we're going to get those inspections in place. Now, you can bill all of these to escrow because you're going to be paying about $1,500 for all of these reports, and you can bill them to escrow, which means you don't have to pay the bill until you get your funds from selling your home. So there's no out-of-pocket expenses. Now, I'm going to switch back to this listing agreement, and we're going to talk, and I know the question, I'm sure. See, I'm looking at the Q&A right now, and there's already, what's the cost, right? What's this whole National Association of Realtors lawsuit that we've all been hearing about that went into place? That's not going to change really anything, but everybody thinks it's going to change something. So I kind of want to address that right now because a lot of realtors don't want to talk about it. I'm talking elephant in the room. Let's get it out there. So it's called cooperative compensation, okay? Because we're cooperating, the agents are cooperating, and the seller is compensating. The seller's been compensating both parties, both the listing agent and the selling agent, for 100 years or more. It's never been mandatory, it's never been required, it's always been negotiable, but here we go. Cooperative compensation means who compensates who. Well, the buyer's obviously compensating the seller. They're giving the seller the $1,000,000. Well, the seller needs an agent. We just talked about that. They need a listing agent, and that listing agent is responsible and has a fiduciary duty to that seller to represent that seller actually kind of in a legal way. And so they're going to go through educating the seller, real estate 101, everything that's about to happen, everything that's in the listing manual. They're going to help with or orchestrate the home preparation and advise on what the best return on investment is. They're going to order the inspection reports, go through the inspection reports, decipher them, help you figure out your disclosures. They're going to cover all of the marketing expenses. They're going to do a comparative market analysis to tell you what your home's actually worth. They're going to do worldwide exposure. Worldwide in the first 15 minutes, it's a lot of marketing to do, and it's a lot of time and effort. They're going to negotiate the best offer on your behalf, which might not always be the price. It might be the agent, it might be the homeowner, it might be the story. They're going to be interfacing with all of these people, the lenders and the other agents, and this listing agent has a lot to do. A lot more than the buyer's agent, but the buyer's agent does have a lot to do as well. And in my case, I'm choreographing this transition between the downsizing and the hauling and the community and when they need their funds and when you're moving, and it's a big dance. And last but not least, and most importantly, I'm keeping you out of legal trouble. So of course the seller wants to pay a listing agent, but the seller doesn't want to pay for the buyer's agent, right? I mean, why would they? And we don't want the selling agent or the listing agent, I'm sorry, representing the buyer or even talking with the buyer. It's a conflict of interest. Okay, now, so the buyer needs to hire their own agent, right? The buyer needs an agent, and that agent has a fiduciary responsibility. They're going to educate them on real estate. They're going to do their needs assessment and the return on investment assessment of, if you buy this home and you put this amount of money into it, it'll be worth this amount in the end. They're going to go over all of the inspections and disclosures that we gave them. They're going to do a neighborhood analysis. They're going to check our price. They're going to work with the buyer's lender. They're going to negotiate and actually win the deal when there's 14 other offers out there. This buyer's agent's got to be darn good, and they're going to get what they deserve. They're going to interface with all the parties. They're going to choreograph the transition as well. The buyer's probably got a house they're selling as well, and they're going to keep the buyer out of trouble. Now, you're thinking the buyer's going to pay the buyer's agent because that's the buyer's agent. But the buyer has a lot of expenses. They have to come up with their down payment, 20%, 30, 50%. They've got these new 7% mortgage interest rates. They got to pay for the appraisal. They got to pay for all their loan fees and title fees. They got to fix up the house because maybe you didn't and it's sold as is. And now I got repairs. I've got upgrades. I've got the HOA fee, and this is all out of their pocket, right? So the buyers don't have as much money as the sellers. Sorry, it just is that way. So the buyer says to the seller, hey, if you were to pay my agent instead of me, I'd pay you more for your house so that you could pay my buyer's agent and I could finance the whole thing. So then the seller ends up paying the buyer's agent, and we're right back to where we were before all of this NAR lawsuit happened, because you don't want the buyer coming to the listing agent, and you don't want to offer zero commission because the buyers don't have the money out of pocket. Who's going to pay the buyer's agent? The seller's most likely going to pay the buyer's agent. Now that explanation, that was the first time I did it in a presentation, and it took a little longer than I thought. So I'm going to fast forward past these next few slides because I got to get rolling here. So there's the bottom line. The attorney claimed that, the National Association of Realtors was forcing sellers to pay buyers' commissions. That was never the case. It was always negotiable. They never even had to use realtors, and that home prices are inflated because of realtors. Well, of course they are, because you want to make $1 million, you need to sell it for $1,050,000 to pay for your agent. That's part of the selling costs. So anyway, that's your documentation. Sorry I got a little in the weeds there. It's a sensitive subject to realtors. So when you're interviewing your realtors, ask them, what do you think about this whole NAR lawsuit? Do I have to pay commissions? I don't want to pay commissions. How does that work? Have them have that conversation with you. All right. So next thing we're going to talk about is preparing for takeoff. You getting your home ready to go on the market. It's the biggest return on investment. You've had this airplane for a long time. This is the biggest investment you have, in addition to your 401k and all of your other investments. But this is the biggie. This is your nest egg. And so we've got to get it ready to go on the market. My theory is if you've got a really bad airplane, I mean, it's like not doing good. There's chipped counters and there's holes in things and it's in really bad shape. We're going to get it to good. Okay. That's the best return on investment, is getting something from bad to good. Once it's good, then they can envision, oh, I want to do this. I want to do that. Now, going from good, if it's already good, and already good is Pepto-Bismol tiles in the bathroom that aren't chipped. That's good, right? I'm not going to replace it with granite because I don't know what kind of granite they want or what kind of counters they want or faucets or lights and all of that stuff. So we're just going from bad to good. Okay, let me just do that real quick. So I'm going to give you some examples of what my team can do, and there's lots of videos on this. I've got before and after videos, but we get homes ready to go on the market, and no matter what that plane looks like, we can get it ready for the market in 2 to 3 weeks. Here's just some quick examples. When I first got there, you can't even see the home. It's talking about curb appeal. So, it's very easy to get rid of those shrubs, the ivy, lift the canopies of the trees so that you can actually see the house. Some backyards are looking really bad, but for not much money, we can get it to photography ready status. And we can even do virtual staging as well. A kitchen that looks like this, look, if you invite me over to your house and you're thinking, well, man, I don't want to bring Brian over because my house isn't in that great of shape, you can't show me something worse than I've already seen in 20 years of working with seniors. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so I run into a lot of homes that have a lot of stuff, a lot of memories, and a lot of deferred maintenance. But, for $2,000, our team can get it into this shape so it's ready for photography. This bathroom, if you were to go to use that toilet, you'd fall right through the floor. We, for $5,000, got it into shape and it photographed well, and we sold that house with multiple offers in 3 days. The money that we put into it, the money that I advise you to put into it, and it's the lowest possible common denominator. I don't want you spending more than you have to, but I can get you hundreds of thousands of dollars more by just putting a little bit of effort, maybe $10,000, $20,000 into it. If it's really bad, maybe $30,000. And we can lighten it and brighten it and stage it, take out carpet, refinish hardwood floors, paneling. When we're done with it, it's ready to go, and it's going to sell for more. So here's your best return on investment projects. Downsizing, downsizing, downsizing. Start now. Take classes on downsizing. Hire a downsizer. You've got to start downsizing. It takes a long time. But just focus on what you're taking with you. That's the one tip I'm going to give you. We want to do curb appeal. Like I said, we've got to get the outside of the home ready for photography. We're going to do landscaping, pruning. We're going to power wash the outside of the house, which may affect a little bit of the paint. So we might do some paint touch-up on the outside of the house. If it's really bad, we'll paint the whole thing. Interior paint is big bang for your buck. That smell, that brightness. We're going to remove your wallpaper, the velvet wallpaper. Sorry, I know you paid a lot and you love it, but that's just not in anymore, and it makes rooms look smaller and darker. It's probably best that you leave when we're doing all of this work for the next 2 weeks. Go to Italy for 2 weeks and come back refreshed. And so we're going to get that home light, bright, downsized. It's going to look more spacious. We're going to do an industrial strength cleaning. Maybe we'll refinish those hardwood floors, and window washing. The cost to get the home ready to go on the market, the cost for you to give me the home in the condition you want to give it to me in, those costs are up to you. Marketing costs are completely up to me. So you and I will come up with a budget of what you really need to do and what you don't need to do, and we'll help you get the funds in place so that you can pay for all of this up front, because these people need their bills paid up front. They're smaller workers. All right, so that's the best return on investment. What can you do to help? Again, downsizing, reducing clutter, depersonalizing, If you've got crucifixes and Buddhas and stars and all sorts of things, we want to genericize that house. Almost like when you go into a KB home, it's very generic. Make extra copies of your keys, gather up all those manuals and warranties for your appliances, put them all in one drawer in the kitchen so that because that stuff's going to go with the house. You're going to prepare your crawl space, that back bedroom that you have all that stuff on top of the crawl space. You're going to have to clean that out so that the home inspector can get under your house and into the attic. You're going to keep all of your city services going, whether you're residing there and occupying the property or you're vacating. We need everything to keep going in the same way it's currently going. Your mow and blow keeps going. If you are going to occupy your home while it's on the market, and we're going to talk about that in a second, of how difficult it really is. It's very difficult to occupy your home while it's on the market. It's not the way it used to be, and we'll talk about that. But think about your pets. If you're going to be living there, think about your pets. Think about locking up all of your valuables and your jewelry and your guns and your money and your ammunition and your medications and all of that kind of stuff, because there's going to be people coming through your home, hundreds of people coming through your home. And there's no way for someone holding a home open to be in every room watching what everybody's doing. So we want to make sure we prepare to be on the market. And let's now talk about occupying while you're on the market, okay? So occupying your home while it's on the market is the thing of the past. People aren't doing it anymore. And when you're going to a retirement community, it's different than when you're going to a different home. Well, it's kind of the same. The people on the other end need their money on a certain date, and it's an exact date. And if I'm talking about a retirement community and there's an entrance fee that's due, that entrance fee is due on a date. It's not due the day after or the day before, it's on that date. And so you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm going to sell my home and then I'm going to close escrow exactly on time and I'm going to send the money right over there and I'm going to get a 2-week rent back and everything's going to be great. But there's a lot going on before you get your funds. You got to do the home prep, you got to do the inspections, the paperwork, you're downsizing, you're hauling things away, you're doing photography, you're doing the open houses, you're trying to sell that home in the exact right time to get that entrance fee on that exact same date. And then you can move in, okay? Now this is very stressful, and the big thing is that homes don't sell. 3 years ago, homes were selling in 2 days every time. Well, now some things are sitting on the market for 2 months. You don't know. Maybe your home has some challenges. You don't know when your home's going to actually sell and actually close and the buyer going to back out. Is something going to happen? And if that doesn't happen and you don't have the funds to the retirement community on that day, there's going to be repercussions. So this is not the way we want you to do it. What we'd rather do is have you pack up your stuff and give the funds to the retirement community, but you don't have the funds because you got to sell your house. So there's other ways to get funds ahead of moving, ahead of selling. So what the ideal goal is to get those funds, move to the retirement community, then do all of the stuff of selling your home, right? And the way we're going to do that is through a bridge loan where you're going to be given, let's say, $1 million, and your home's worth $2 million. So you're going to get $1 million. Here's the $1 million. You give the $1 million to the retirement community. They're happy. You're happy. You've got 2 homes for a while. No big deal. You gradually move over there, stress-free. When you're finally over there, give you a couple more weeks to really mellow out, and then we put your home on the market, and then the home sells, and then you pay off the bridge loan, and everybody's happy. And if it's not a bridge loan, it could be a combination of maybe a home equity line of credit. You can ask the kids. I mean, you paid for their college, maybe they pay for your move, and then you give the money right back with a little bit of interest. There's lots of different ways to do it, but the great thing about this is it's an empirical perfect date. You know when you're going to get those funds, and your stress has been removed. Okay, so much less stress. All right, now, before we go on the market, we're going to be doing a lot of marketing, okay? And hopefully you're going to be gone by then, but we're going to be doing staging of your home, and I'm going to pay for the staging, and your realtor should pay for the staging. We never used to pay for the staging, and one realtor gave it away once, and now we're all paying for staging. So we're going to stage your home completely. It's going to be vacant. Now, if your home isn't vacant and you are occupying your home, we'll work around that. We have ways of editing rather than staging. Then we're going to do professional photography, not a photography with my phone or anything. We're going to do aerial photography, videography. We're going to have a drone with a camera on it flying through your home with nice music in the background, giving them a little tour. We're going to give them a 2D floor plan. We're going to let them know exactly what this home is before they get there. We're going to entice them. We're going to entice them with some descriptive marketing verbiage that you're going to help us write, because you know all of the wonderful things about your home, of why you bought it and why you're sad to leave. So you're going to help us write that. We're going to do a website of your address, 123 Main Street, and we're going to put everything on there. And that 123 Main Street is going to be on the sign. We're going to turn your home into a company, and we're going to post all of our disclosures there online. We're going to have luxury yard signage with solar lights. We're going to have beautiful full color flyers that are not just one flyer, it's an actual brochure. We're going all out. We're spending as much money or as much of the commission you're giving us on the sale of your home. That's what a realtor should be doing. It shouldn't be, hey, here's me, here's my face, here's what I've done, here's how many homes I've sold. No, it's marketing your home with the funds that you're giving them. Anyway, there could be some rent back requirements. If you are going to occupy, you're going to need to stay in that home a little bit before you move. You're not just going to close escrow and move out that day. We're going to put a lockbox on your home, but we're not going to attach it to your home if you're occupying it, because of the fact that if you're in the shower and some agent comes and they called and no one answered and there's a lockbox on the front door and they use the lockbox and you're in the shower, quite embarrassing. So if you're occupying the home, the lockbox will be in the home, and when you leave, you'll put the lockbox outside of the home. When you come home, you'll put it back inside the home. Then we'll talk about showing instructions. Do you not want anyone to see the home before 9 o'clock in the morning or after 6 p.m.? It's totally up to you. Remember, you own the plane. You're calling the shots. No one should be telling you what to do or how to do it. They should be educating you, but you're making the decisions, okay? Then we'll do the comparative market analysis right before we go on the market, and sometimes I'll even get a third-party appraisal to find out what that home is really worth, because we want to go out at fair market value. We don't want to go out too low or too high, because we don't want a bidding war, and we don't want to ever have to reduce our price. So the price has to be exactly right. And I do not need to be a neighborhood specialist to come up with the exact right price. So we'll do that right before we go on the market. Then we'll list it onto the MLS, the multiple listing service. That's going to go out to the entire world in the first 15 minutes. We're going to do mailings. We're going to do it just goes on and on. And this we'll talk about in our listing appointment, right? Of telling you all of the marketing we're going to be doing, digital, social, all sorts of things. Whew. We're ready for takeoff, okay? It's a lot of work. It takes a while to really market a property correctly. You don't want to market a property incorrectly, because it's that first impression. When they see it on the internet, they need to go, wow, I need to go see that property. So it's an all-out effort. Okay, so that's preparing for takeoff. Now we have taken off. We're on the market. We're ascending to what do you call that? Cruising speed, cruising altitude. And now what are we looking for in a winning offer? Right? It's not just the highest price. Okay. So what's going to happen once we take off? I'm the captain, so you'll get updates from the captain. This is your captain speaking, and we'll tell you on a daily basis how much exposure we're getting. Right? You're getting feedback. Your finger is on the pulse. So you're going to find out how many people looked at us and saw us on the internet, how many realtors came to see that airplane, how many disclosure packets were downloaded during that time. In that day, you want to know real time. You don't want to hear from me every 3 days. You want to hear from me every morning, and you'll get this feedback. And also, if a realtor comes to the home, we will contact that realtor and ask them, what do you think about the price? What do you think about the home? What do you think about the neighborhood? What's your client? Tell me about your client, and things like that. So we're very proactive and very communicative. Then you're going to get automated competition alerts. What other planes are in the air? Which ones have sold? Which ones just took off? So you'll know, and your finger will be on the pulse. And if we're sitting a little bit long on the market, you'll know as well. So open houses, it's up to you. Okay, most open houses are for your neighbors. because they want to see all the remodeling that you've done over the year because they were afraid to come and ask, can I go in your house and see what you've done? They're also for realtors. They're trying to pick up a buyer. I don't work with buyers. I don't want to really talk with buyers, and I don't want to hear from some agent or some neighbor coming into the open house saying, hey, did you hear there was an axe murderer next door? Because then I have to disclose that information. I don't want to be at the open house. I'm not supposed to talk to the buyers anyway because that's a conflict of interest. So open houses are completely up to you. If you're occupying your home while it's on the market, I wouldn't advise my mom to do an open house and have everybody from that's on the street, they see a sign, they're going to come through your home. When the home is occupied, it's not a good idea. It's not a safe thing to do. If it's vacant, then open house all day long. We'll do weekend open houses. We'll do Friday open houses. Whatever you want, that's what we'll do. You're calling the shots. Then we'll decide, are we going to accept offers 1 week from the time we put it on the market, or are we going to accept offers as they come? There's pros and cons to that. I like to have some control. And so I say, if we go on the market on a Wednesday, we're going to review offers next Wednesday. So don't expect any information because I want them all together at the same time. I don't want anybody giving me an offer with this false sense of urgency. You got to respond right now. And the first day, I'm going to be like, we can't. So I can say the seller didn't want to do that. So all of these offers will be submitted online through the website. So we'll be able to review them, and we'll have all of the information there. All the documents will be there. We may get a little turbulence. If we're sitting on the market for even 10 days, 14 days, there's something wrong with the price. And I know you're thinking, well, maybe just the right buyer hasn't come along yet or something, but it's always going to boil down to the price. That's why the price is so important. So if we do get to a point and we're on the market for a while, we're going to start looking bad, and they're going to see 14 days, 21 days, 30 days. And now all the contractors start coming out. They're like, oh, they're going to be looking for a lowball price because they didn't sell in the first 14 days. So if we're not moving, we're going to reduce the price proactively, as it's just marketing. We tried this price, it didn't work, and we are responding and we're being proactive, and we are motivated sellers. So there may be some turbulence, but I'll work you through that. I've seen every pothole and red flag, and we've got safety nets in place. Then now we're going to talk about the actual residential purchase agreement that you're going to be getting. And I have videos that teach you about the residential purchase agreement, but just want to let you know, in the purchase agreement, you're going to see the purchase price, the close of escrow time period, the expiration of the offer, the initial deposit, which they're going to be giving you 3% deposit upfront good faith money in case they back out. They're going to tell you about their loan terms. And here's the long pole in the tent. This is the contingency removal, right? Because they're buying your home contingent upon them doing their due diligence, looking at those inspection reports, talking with the neighbors, all this, they're doing their due diligence. Now, the shorter that time period, the shorter it'll be that they can back out, no harm, no foul. We don't want them backing out, no harm, no foul. We want that contingencies to be removed as fast as possible. So that's a big deal. That's why I made it in red there. There's also your offer, or their offer could be contingent upon the sale of their home. We won't take those offers. There's some performance time frames that we need to check and make sure they're tight as possible. There's a seller rent back that we may need to negotiate. What's included and excluded from the sales. The things that are included are things that are attached to the home. Grandma's chandelier is attached to the home. It's included in the home unless you exclude it from the home. You say everything in the home that's attached comes with it except for Grandma's chandelier, which is excluded from the sale. Who's paying for what? Other documents that are needed and included. There's a lot to this residential purchase agreement. It used to be a handshake, one piece of paper. Now, welcome to the real world. It's 70 different documents. So here is our flight itinerary. I know I'm running a little tight on time. It's 11:51. We're going to finish in time. We might do questions and answers after that, but come on, Brian, let's go. All right, so we get an offer. The offer is as is. Yay, it's as is. We get that contract. Next thing that happens, 3% deposit. $1 million home, 30%, a check gets written to the title company, sends to the title company cashes that $30,000 check, and that $30,000 sits in there just in case they remove their contingencies and then back out. Now, if they don't remove their contingencies before they said they were going to, and that could be 0 days or 21 days, then they can back out. No harm, no foul. But if they get to the day they said, we're going to remove our contingencies in 14 days, and they get to that 14th day and they don't remove their contingencies, that 3% deposit is now up for grabs. Okay, so we'll talk about that in person a little bit more. More turbulence could happen after they remove their contingencies. It's not a done deal, because they could back out. Now, their feet are held to the fire because of the deposit, but they can back out. If someone dies or they lose their job or some reason that they need to back out, they can back out. So you can't bank on that contingency removal. You can only bank on the close of escrow, and the close of escrow date can move. That's why I love the bridge loans, because they close and you give the money to the retirement community and then you sell. All right, so that's the takeoff. Wow. Now we're preparing for landing. Okay, we've got that contract. We're going to start descending to the retirement community. What's happening next? Who's doing what? And how do we make this part of the process stressful? Because, oh my gosh, we're coming down for a landing. This is really happening. So I'm going to use that last slide. Not a whole lot goes on. Now, a lot does go on behind the scenes, but for you, the seller, there's not a lot going on because hopefully you've already moved. If you haven't, we'll make sure that it's stress-free, but the title company is going to pay off your loan. If you have a loan or a home equity line of credit or whatever, they're going to pay that off for you. You don't have to do anything. You're going to vacate the property. Hopefully you've done that already. We're going to remove the staging that we paid for. We're going to have the home in broom clean condition. That's all it is. It says in the contract, broom clean. Then we'll stop the utilities maybe a day or two after close of escrow, because like I said, we don't know exactly when it's going to close. So we don't want the utilities to go off before it closes. We don't want your insurance ending before it closes. You're going to forward your mail 2 weeks before you actually move, because the post office is terrible. So get working on that, because I've had a lot of bad experiences with the email and not email, snail mail getting forwarded. Sign all the final documents. You'll sign that wherever you want on your own time with a mobile notary. The title company, like I said, could be off by a day. When it records with the county, you're now not the owner anymore. If you're residing there for 2 weeks after, you're now a tenant. All the funds are wired to your account, and they can also be wired to the bridge loan company. They can be wired to the retirement community. They can wire money wherever you want, and it's time to celebrate because you've landed. And that was a lot. Like I said, it's difficult, but it's not hard. If you're using the right people, and you're using people that do this on a regular basis, and they're working with downsizers and stagers and retirement communities, then it's no big deal for them. And like I said, you need a Sherpa. You need somebody that's been to the top of Everest a number of times. And when someone says, oh, it's just a typical real estate transaction, you go into a retirement community, let's talk. So, all right. So I've covered all of my topics, and I'm going to have Erin turn her microphone back on and her camera back on. And she's going to tell you what happens after you land when you arrive at the oops, that's the wrong name there. I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's from
we
our...
love the terraces.
The same thing happens at the terraces, right? So
anybody who's toured at Saratoga Retirement Community, we always say, you should check out the terraces.
exactly.
You should check out the forum.
Right. Yeah, it's apples and oranges and pineapples and pears. There's not one community that is the exact same as another community. So do your research, go interview multiple places, get the vibe, talk with the people, eat the food, go see the activities, just get involved. And you have a lot of choices, but narrow those choices down to the two that really, really float your boat, that really are you. And I'll tell you, the Saratoga, every time I go there, my blood pressure drops. I don't know what they put in the water over there, but everybody's happy. I'm so glad I made the move. And it's a very kumbaya place, and it's very relaxing too. You're not in town. So anyway, long story short, I got to get going, and I got to push it back to Erin. So she's going to talk about the arrival and what her team can do for you once you get there. So take it away, Erin.
Okay. So if you arrive at Saratoga or the terraces of Los Altos or the terraces of Los Gatos or the Forum, you guys are so fortunate. And I tell people are always surprised when they visit us at Saratoga Retirement Community that we do talk about our competitors in such a positive way. But the truth is, you all and myself included, we are very fortunate to have some good communities to choose from. Um, but anyway, if you arrive here, and I would say most of these great communities, the sales team will be working with you. We are laser focused on you and getting you here, helping that process happen. Um, you're going to have, we are going to help you coordinate with that moving component of getting in here. Brian shared a great deal of information as to what his teams will help you with, and you have a whole team here to help you on this end of coordinating those movers. We can meet people you can have furniture dropped off and all kinds of things. But you're here, your apartments or cottages getting ready for you. Oftentimes, families will be having lunch. You've got your mentor at Saratoga. We have assigned mentors for you prior to you moving here. So your mentor will be, or your mentors will, they're going to be ready for you. They're going to want to have dinner with you. And you can say no, but they definitely will want to communicate with you. And then you can, uh, your resident services team. We have a resident services team of staff that will be meeting with you on the day that you move here and for sometimes many weeks afterwards, every day, just checking in. Hey, because there will always be, whatever campus you choose, there will always be a punch list of things to be done once you move in. Little tweaks, little tiny tweaks that hey, I want, I want the closet rod actually over here. I changed my mind. We help you with all of that. So yeah, you get here, it's pretty great. I can tell you I've been here almost 9 years in November. It'll be 9 years. And the thing I hear the most is, oh my gosh, I wish we would have done this sooner. People often say, I wish I could have done this sooner. I wish I would have done it sooner if I would have just known. But it's hard to know. It's hard to know until you come in. Brian gave you all some great advice. Any community that you're considering, go. When they invite you to come in, come in. Call you. People can always call us and say, "Hey, I'd love to have lunch with a resident host." We love to see people more at our campus because when you get here, we want you to we want you to feel very much at home, and usually people do. We have a long wait list, so you kind of have to wait to get into Saratoga, but while you wait, we bring you in and you're meeting people and you're doing things and you're experiencing stuff that you're going to experience when you move here. You're meeting staff, you're meeting residents, so it's pretty great. And that's that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. And we've pretty much covered all of the topics that I wanted to cover. And I want to get rid of that. All right. So if you are still on the fence, and I talk to a lot of people because there's those three stages, I might want to go. How does it all work? And I'm ready to go. But if you're kind of in that I might want to go thing, I would strongly suggest you download the Stay or Go workbook. I wrote that myself. It's very easy to download. It's very easy to print. It's very easy to fill out. I've done it hundreds and hundreds of times, and I've gotten people off the fence, 51%, pushing them one way or the other, and many of them stay and many of them go. But you need to do the self-evaluation exercise, the vision of the future exercise. You need to learn and do these, watch all of these webinars. Go through the bonus section of the Stay or Go workbook, which is the They have the prioritization grids in there so you can really come up with what you're really looking for in a community, what's the second most important thing you're looking for in a community. And then once you know your prioritization list of what you're looking for in a community, then you can go and find communities that are hitting your top two or top three. So it's a really cool little book for you to download. You can go to the website. It's stayorgohomeowner.com. There's a big start here button, and that's where you can download the workbook. I seriously think we should get together for a homeowner analysis. Invite me over, invite Aaron, come talk with us. We're open books. If you want to talk about all of these topics right here, these are not typical real estate or realtor topics. This is 20 years of going through it, and I will share my time with you. You don't have to use me as a realtor. I have zero expectations and zero strings attached. I do want to interview for that job, but I want to help you make the best decisions for your future, whether you're staying, whether you're going. This is a passion of mine. This is a passion of Aaron's. We were just talking about last night of how we can help people, and it's not like we're going to get anything out of it. Our purpose in life is to help you make these decisions. And so we've got 50 years of experience between Aaron and myself. I'll talk about anything. I'll stay as long as you want. Just invite us over, maybe a water or whatever, give us, and we'll help you out. So if you want to do that, just go to the website, schedule an appointment right on my calendar, or call Saratoga Retirement Community, get on Aaron's calendar. If I do get together with you, I will bring the How It All Works. This is the webinar we did last month, which talks about what happens before you get on the waiting list, what happens after you're on the waiting list, what happens once you've decided you've selected your unit, and after you've moved in and moved out. All of that is here. It's 35 pages. I wrote it. There's nothing like it on the internet. I've looked. I'll probably turn it into a book someday. But if we get together, I'll bring this to you so that you have homework, lowering your stress. You know what's going on. This is all from the time you make the decision till the time you make the transition. And then today was, when the rubber hits the road of actually selling your home in the least stressful manner possible. In 2025, we're going to do it all over again. We've narrowed it down to 5 webinars. They're in chronological order. Start with the beginning, go through it with us. If you've missed any from last year, you can go to the website and get copies of them. And I just want to thank Aaron for having me. I want to thank you all for being here and being proactive homeowners. You're making things happen. You're not waiting for things to happen. Your kids are going to thank you. You're going to unburden your kids. You're going to have a blast. You're going to be around like-minded people. You're going to live longer. You're going to be happier. You're going to have joy and peace. And I can't say enough about it. Retirement communities, especially Saratoga, is just zen. And it's not for everybody. And if you can do it, do it. It should be the best chapter of your life. It's an adventure community. It's not a retirement community. So anyway, thanks, Aaron, for having me. Do you want to say some closing statements
Sure.
there?
No, I super appreciate it, Brian. And, and really, he's right. I mean, if you have any questions about retirement communities in general, you know, eh, I have people ask me, "Hey, I've got kids in Southern California. Do you know any campuses there?" I will help you. If there's any way that I can help you, I will help you. Um, you know, every community is a little different. There are some communities that are high rises, and there are people that prefer that. I mean, there are many, many great campuses for you to think about and choose from. My best advice to anybody, all my friends will hear me say this: if you can afford to move to one of these wonderful nonprofit continuing care retirement communities, run. Don't walk, run, get there as quickly as you can, because really, what's not to love? I mean, they're pretty great.
Yeah.
No campus is perfect, but these campuses really do want to please you and want you to have a fantastic experience. um, so anyway, no questions are off the table. Just call anytime. Happy to help you and work with you where you're at. Thank you
Well,
so much for your time today.
thanks, everybody. Thanks, Aaron. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.